Be seated. In the verses preceding the New Testament reading today, St. Paul talks about how that he counts all things lost in view of the surpassing greatness of God, that he may know him in the power of his resurrection, and that he may participate in his sufferings, the fellowship of his sufferings. That's what it means. Being conformed to his death, in order that he may attain to the resurrection of the dead. Because there's no way around the cross. There's no way around Holy Week to get to Easter. There's the way of life is the way through the cross. Jesus said in the gospel, unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains by itself. But when it dies, it bears much fruit. Way to life, the way to Easter is through Holy Week, through the Passion. Which is why, going back to St. Paul's letter to the Philippians, he grieves for those who he calls enemies of the cross. Enemies of the cross whose God is their belly, whose God is their appetite, who operate and walk in anti-cross, anti-kingdom principles. See, the cross is a symbol of, not of cruelty, but of selflessness, of giving of one's life, of substituting, of taking upon himself the death or the penalty that is really due to another. It is taking the blows for the sake of another. Even though you're innocent, even though you have your own rights, you give them up in order to save or to redeem somebody. You take the punches for them. But we become enemies of the cross if we are self-serving, if we are against this gesture, this of love, this principle of the kingdom that Jesus is demonstrating in his Passion and in Holy Week. Many times we worship the God of the belly, of our appetite, and we set our minds on earthly things. St. Paul says we become enemies of the cross when we do that. Which is why he tells us in another letter, in Colossians, that we need to set our minds on things above, where Jesus is, seated at the right hand of the Father. Jesus said in the gospel, I would that you would be where I am. I am leaving, he says, and the hour has come, and I will accomplish something, and I will ascend into heaven. But I do that so that you may also be where I am. He's not talking about being in a geographical place with him, or being in a geographical location with him, but being on the same spiritual level as he, so that we also bear our cross, so that we also give our life, so that we also suffer for the sake of others, just like he did. That's what he means by being where I am. Same spiritual level. This is our upward call in Christ Jesus. He directs our attention to where he is, up there, not down here where enemies of the cross are, where people are looking down on earthly things and walking in worldly and earthly ways. He wants us to look up where Christ is seated at the right hand of the Father, that we also may walk the way of the cross. And he wants us reminded. Yesterday's gospel, or yesterday's theme, was about the cleansing of the temple. The temple is a place supposedly of sacrifice, sacrificial giving. Yet, ironically, sadly, tragically, the very people of God, in the place of sacrifice, in the place of giving, of remission of sins, sacrifice for itself, for the sake of others, right in the same place, they operated according to the ways of selfishness, self-centeredness, the ways of anti-kingdom and anti-cross, and they worshiped the God of their appetites, self-serving, instead of sacrificial giving. See, the hymn we sang earlier tells us to not forget the way of the cross. Lest I forget Gethsemane, lest I forget your agony, your suffering. Not the pains per se, but why he did it. Lest I forget why you did it. Why did you do it? So that you will not have to take the punches, but I'll take them for you, that you may have life. I came that you might have life, and have it abundantly. Lest I forget that. Every time we come to worship our God, in a liturgical setting anyway, we always have the Eucharist. Why? Because every time we drink his body, we eat his body, and drink his blood, we proclaim his death. He says, do this in remembrance of me. Lest we forget, lest we go the way of those who worship their appetite, lest we become enemies of the cross. Let us be reminded of his death, of his sacrifice of self, of his giving of life for the life of the world. This is what we're called to always remember this Holy Week. And we're not discounting, we're not belittling the resurrection and all that. But like I said, it's the way to that, the way to life is following Jesus, bearing our cross, carrying him, because it is the way to life. Way to Easter is always through the cross, through Gethsemane, through Calvary. Lest we forget, let us always be reminded. Because my brothers and sisters, that's the way it is in the kingdom of our God.